The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday webinar. This afternoon, we will be learning about a digital citizen lesson that has been created. If you have any questions, you can ask in the chat box afterwards. My name is Helen Lacey, and I work for Smart Technologies in Australia. And this afternoon, we will be doing a session that will cover this fantastic lesson and resource that was created by Dr. Bron Stucky. And if you're not sure who Dr. Bron Stucky is, this lovely lady here. She actually created this lesson and delivered it in some schools in Australia before presenting this lesson at ISTE in Chicago in June of this year. So the plan for this, and here she is at the smart board on the smart stand at ISTE, delivering this lesson, which we'll see very, very shortly. Now, when Bron delivered this lesson and delivered this session at the smart stand, she talked about the academic understanding behind creating a lesson that was about gaming and about engaging students with her self-determination theory, and why that was particularly important to engage and encourage students to learn in this very globally applicable topic of digital citizenship. So the plan for today is for me to run you through the lesson that Bron created and then subsequently delivered in some schools in Australia, but also she delivered it at ISTE in Chicago. And I'm actually going to show you how she constructed this lesson using the Smart Learning Suite and Smart Learning Suite Online, and then how it was delivered in the classroom. So how a teacher would deliver the lesson that's been created in SLSO by using Smart Learning Suite Online to actually deliver it to a class full of students with BYOD devices. So bring your own devices in. So please feel free to ask any questions if you need to. Just so that we can explain this, the Smart Learning Suite software, which I'm using right now, consists of Smart Notebook, Lab and Response, and that's the lesson creation tool. So Bron and all teachers using Smart Learning Suite would be at their desk on their computer creating a lesson in Smart Notebook just like this. They're then able to upload that lesson to the cloud and access it from the smartboard, but they can then push this lesson to individuals, and individuals on any internet-enabled device can be participating in that lesson. So using the Smart Learning Suite Online, or SLSO, as the lesson delivery tool. So when the teacher's up there for that 45 minutes and delivering it to the class, using SLSO as the delivery tool, as opposed to using the Smart Learning Suite as the lesson creation tool. So what I'm going to do today is walk you through all of that. We're going to walk you through number one, the the lesson and the structure of the lesson and what she did, and then I'm going to do step by step how that was created using Smart Notebook, Lab and Response, and then lastly how that was delivered to the class using Smart Learning Suite Online. So the first thing that Bron did was she used a shout it out, and the shout it out, sorry, I'm just checking here. I've got a message to say that we are not sharing our screen. So I'm just going to make sure that we are sharing my screen. Hopefully we can see this. Let me just check 1 second. All good. Okay, so I'm just going to go back. If you didn't see all of that, I'm going to just go back to revisit this so that you can see the beautiful Bron Stucky that I was showing you here, and also where she was presenting at ISTE. So her on the smartboard here, actually running through the lesson with some students, and here she was actually talking about her self-determination theory. And then I've just mentioned that we are talking about Smart Learning Suite Online, and this visual gave you the cue on the teacher creating the lesson, uploading it to the smartboard, and then delivering the lesson to any internet-enabled device using Smart Learning Suite Online as the delivery tool and Smart Learning Suite as the lesson creation tool. So what I'm now going to do is walk you through how we created this, or how Bron created this particular lesson, and then how it was consequently delivered to a class full of students. So the first thing that Bron did was she created a shout it out, and the shout it out was asking the students that prior knowledge. So where do the kids go to hang out online? So what I'm going to do before I show you the results of it, I'm going to show you how to create a shout it out. So I'm going to go to a new page, and I'm choosing up here at the very top the little class lab smart lab icon, and shout it out is one of the many games and activities that you have available to you within Smart Learning Suite. So I'm going to select shout it out, and I'm allowing the students to contribute text information. So just here you can see I've got the word text or images to contribute, and I've instantly created a really quick and easy shout it out where the students can actually give me instant feedback. So the purpose of this for Bron was to actually make sure that the students could tell her where they were hanging out online, and this was the actual result. So before we show you this, I wanted to just make sure that you could see what actually happened in a real classroom. So this was a year 5-6 classroom, and the students had multiple different devices, and what the students were able to do was the students were able to contribute what they had actually the kind of places that they'd hung out online. So from places like Fortnite, Snapchat, FaceTime, to Uvo, to Clash of Clans, all of these different places where these students, 4 or 5 students in New South Wales DOE hang out online. So to actually get responses like that, I'm going to model this up. So once we've created it, we've gone to Smart Lab, we've selected shout it out. The next thing that the teacher would need to do is to ask the students to go to hellosmart.com. So if you have an internet-enabled device in front of you right now, please can you go through to your web browser and go to hellosmart.com and put in my teacher code. And once you've put in my teacher code, I'd like you to join this session. So this is what the students would actually be doing in the classroom. So I've got lots of Becks joining here. And as you join the session, and we've got Jane joining as well, you're able to type your response. So if the students had been asked where did they hang out online, I imagine that most students in quite a lot of classes right now will answer Fortnite. So please feel free to message back where they may or may not hang out online, and those responses will instantly appear. So Jane's responses immediately appeared as Fortnite, and this is how the student this information is gathered to the students. So if you're online right now and you're participating in the webinar, please feel free to join in on this and add your contributions at the same time. You can imagine that having multiple students in the classroom joining it, you're going to get lots of instant responses, and your classroom session would actually look a lot more like this, with multiple students actually giving you multiple responses. And you're actually able to, in this scenario, scroll through as I just did. So you can select one particular item, and you can use the arrow buttons to scroll through and highlight exactly what you want. If you chose to, you could, in fact, display the names of the students. So if you wanted the students to have an anonymous response sent through, you can see that the students are associated with a shape and a color. But if I wanted to actually see who had responded that way, I can turn off the anonymous response, and I can actually see names if I chose to do so. So sometimes it's a good thing to have anonymous responses, and sometimes people want to actually see the names of the students who actually responded through. Okay. So after she'd asked where the students actually hung out online, she then, Bron then asked, if they could add the images or the logos for those places. Now, I'm just going to show you a complete version of this. So these were the same things that the kids had done, but obviously instead of actually giving us responses as text, they have actually responded by sharing images. Now, that's quite easy to set up, so you can decide whether or not you want your students to share images or share text. So I'm going to actually edit and show you, just using the pen tool here, how we can select images instead of text. So you can see that if I chose images in this particular shout it out instead of text, so I can either choose text or images. If I choose images, the students then can take a photo with their phone and instantly send it back, or they can browse to the internet and find an image and send that image back. So Bron had asked, first of all, can you send us an image? First of all, can you tell us where you hang out online? In the second place, can you send us an image? And she did one more shout it out. And the third final shout it out was really ascertaining prior learning, as any good practitioner would do. What do the students already know about this? If this lesson is about digital citizenship, what do the students already know? How should we be cyber safe, and how should we be responsible digital citizens? So Bron asked, how do you think you should behave when online? And she did do this one anonymously, and the responses were quite pertinent in terms of the students knew how to, no scamming, behave sensibly, report bad behavior. But really, this tool, as in the shout it out tool, is so effective for getting very true responses in a scenario like this, where the students can actually respond back and feel comfortable that they aren't necessarily identified in the classroom. So then Bron sent about setting the task, and this was bringing elements of gaming into your lesson, so bringing the gamification piece. She has asked the students that their mission today was to create a digital avatar, and they could create a digital avatar if they earned 100 points. And so what Bron had given them were a selection of activities. So this is that self-differentiation opportunity for the students. They can choose which of the activities they were going to do. But the target for the day was to earn 100 points. And once they've earned 100 points, they would be able to build their digital superhero and their mission, their avatar. So each of these squares that you can see in front of us here correspond to slides just down here. So you can see Mysteries of Life is there, Help Bart Out is there. All of these activities are other slides within the page. And what actually happens here is, as the students, so once this particular part of the lesson is reached, Bron had then pushed this whole smart notebook to the students' devices. So the students have all got their own devices. She has kept all the information from the shout it out, but at this point she is asking the students to progress on at their own speed using their devices to do these activities. So once that's pushed to the devices, and we'll show you how to do that shortly, the students can choose their pathway and progress on according to the activities that they want to earn their points. So they may choose that they were going to do watch the show here. So if I click on this show, I'm actually, there's a hyperlink here that will take me out to the internet, and I will be able to watch a video on digital etiquette, okay? And then I've got a very obvious home button to go back to the home page. So I've earned my 30 points, and then the students were able to actually record their 30 points that they'd earned on the smartboard at the front with the teacher. Because remember, this smartboard scenario is up on the smartboard in the classroom, but the students can progress on at their own speed with these activities within the smart notebook activity, and we'll show you how shortly. So setting the scene with this, the students have this as their home page, they're choosing their points, they're doing the activities, and they're filling their points out in the superhero scores. So how did Bron create this? Now, the first thing that Bron has done is she's created a series of squares. So if I create a new page and I choose the shape pen and a square, I can choose one square, the size I want, and then I can select the square to clone it to be another one exactly the same. So once I've cloned it, I can layer them next to each other and so on. And the content I can then put into the square. So different pieces of content she's found here, maybe from screen capturing from the internet, or maybe copy and pasting and resizing small images. So let's see if we can find very quickly an image of Bart Simpson. So if I can find Bart on the internet, and I'm looking for images of Bart Simpson. I've got an image here. I can copy this image to making sure that there is a image that I can use from the internet. I might paste it, so right click to paste into my notebook page, and I'm putting the image into my square with the information accordingly. Okay, and if I want that whole square to have my image and any text I might write, sorry, I've just run to a page, so I'm going to write a quick bit of text here. I can group all of that image to make it one group. So I'm going to select everything that's in this square, and I'm choosing a drop down menu, and I'm going group, and now everything in that box sticks together rather than being individual things. If you shake it, it actually becomes individual, so but it's all stuck together. So you can see how these boxes were created. Okay, now as the students clicked on this particular box, they were taken to the page that had the activity that they were going to do. They did the activity and then they returned back to the home page. So how does that happen? So what we're doing is, if I select that box again, which was grouped, and I'm just going to go back to group it, I can go to drop down menu to link, and I get the option to link to either the internet, to a page within this notebook file, a file on this computer, or an attachment. So if I chose to link it to a page in this file, I can see the names of the pages that I've got, and I can link it to the appropriate page on this file. Okay, so let's start with how we go about doing that. Now, each of the pages are actually renamed, and they're renamed according to the title of the activity that the students are going to do. So either Help Bart Out, or Speed Citizen, or Talk is Cheap. So very easy for us to rename the page. You can see that the page name I have here, I'm just going to use my pen, is just today's date and time stamp. So I really need to change that name. So if I choose the drop down menu and go to rename page, I can then type in the title of that particular page, and the page stays ready, so it's easily identifiable for the students. So when Bron created this, each of the titles within her squares matched up with the page names on the titles here, and she links each one accordingly. So each page is linked to the square according to their activities. Okay, so what is inside of these activities? We won't have time to go through them all, but I'm going to show you some of the activities. The first activity that I am showing you is the Mystery of Life activity. And what Bron has done in this particular activity is just link this page to an internet site. So if I once again select this actual activity, and I go to drop down menu and look at the link, I can see that for this particular page, Bron has linked it to the BrainPop link on the internet, and that is launched by clicking on this particular object. You can choose whether you want the object clicked or the corner icon. You'll get a tiny little corner icon in the corner there. So as soon as that object is clicked, that is taking me to BrainPop, and I'm watching that video that Bron had wanted the students to watch in that particular scenario. So I'm going to go back to the home page. Another activity that Bron has organised was Speed Citizen. So I'm going to click on Speed Citizen, and I'm going to show you this particular game. So this is a game that exists within Smart Lab. And what the students would do was start this game, select races, and the students would choose who their races were, and then they would have a little race with some questions that would appear. So as they started the game, the racers run around the track and they get some questions that are sent to them so they can speed up, choosing to go faster every single time. And as they get halfway around the track, they're going to get some questions, and those questions will be about digital citizenship that they should answer. You should never share your whole name online, true or false. Well, we're going to say that that is true, okay? And so the game would progress on. So what I'm actually going to do is show you how to create this by clicking on the Edit tab. So the Edit tab, you can see that Bron has actually set up some questions on here with some true or false questions or multiple choice questions in that particular game. So to start it from the beginning, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So if I click on a new page and I choose the Smart Lab icon at the top with the gaming activities, and then I choose the speed up activity, I can start to check my questions, add a question. I can type in a question. What day is it today? So you can imagine that Bron had obviously done some work on today, and she had actually done some questions appropriate to the to the activity, but we can just show you quickly how to set this up. So we can have different responses, and once we've added those in, we can choose which one is the answer and click on the next one, and we then have another question, and so it goes on. So you can have set how long you want to give the students to be able to answer the questions, so they can go up in seconds. We can give them no time limit if we don't want to have any time limit on the questions. But to create the game like this, it literally just takes a few moments, provided that you know what kind of questions that you want to ask there. And your options are true or false, or yes, no questions. But you have access to this particular notebook file afterwards, so you'll be able to edit the link if you wanted to change any of these questions that are in there. So once you've created it, you can pop in, you can look at your questions, and you can edit them if you choose to do so. Okay, and you can select whether they're multiple choice or true or false. Okay, so I'm going to close the window and go back to the home page. So we've shown you how she linked the pages to each other. We've shown you an example of a Smart Lab activity like this. I'll show you one other Smart Lab activity, and then we'll show you how to use it in Smart Learning Suite. So this link here takes us to a game called Rank Order, and Bron has renamed the game to Safe Not Safe. So this particular activity was where the students had to decide which password was safe and which passwords were not safe, and put them in order of how we thought they were safe or not safe. Okay, so I'm just adding these in here. The students would be able to send this to their devices if you wanted to. They can play it independently on their own. We can review and we can reset it if we choose to do so. So to create this rank order game, it's very easy to do that. I'm going to create a new page. I'm clicking on the Smart Lab activity icon, and I'm going to choose rank order. So just here in my selection of games that I have within the class lab activity, I've got rank order, and you simply enter the text that you want to add into the rank order. And once you have entered the text that you want, or the thing that you want to rank, and Bron had obviously entered in her passwords, you can then choose what kind of background or template you would like to have your rank order in. So it could be the one that Bron chose, which is monsters or garden, or it could be a rock concert or a science concert. There are lots of templates, or if you choose to do so, you can have no template at all and just have a simple background. So we'll choose the one that Bron did, and I've created my rank order game. So it just takes a few seconds to actually build, and a few seconds for you to create a game just as Bron did there. So let's go back to the home page again. Now, I won't show any more of those because we'll run out of time. So as the students progress through, the students then actually filled in their superhero chart, and it looked like this in the classroom. So by the time the students had actually finished their whole game, they were able to have their rank, their things scored on the board. And then when they'd completed their 100 points, or sometimes some of them had exceeded their 100 points, they could then participate in a little activity, which was to create a digital superhero out on the internet. Okay. Now, the delivery of the lesson was done using Smart Learning Suite Online. So at the very beginning, I spoke about how our lessons we create in Smart Notebook essentially, but in the Smart Learning Suite using Notebook and Lab in this instance. Those are the two tools that Bron chose to use to create this particular lesson. And then I mentioned that we uploaded that lesson to the cloud. So if you have an active Smart Learning Suite account, you are able to access Smart Learning Suite Online. And all you need to do is head towards suite.smarttech.com. And if you haven't got your Smart Learning Suite Online account sorted, you will then be asked to log in and register your account using a Microsoft or a Google email. And then remember your password is number one key, because that password you will need again for any Smart Learning Suite activities you do. But once you've got your password set up, you're then able to upload the lessons that you use to the Smart Learning Suite, to your Smart Learning Suite profile. Okay, so all the lessons I have are uploaded into here. And this is the lesson that we're working on now, which is today's Wednesday webinar. So I'm going to show you how this would look for a student to have this particular lesson. So I'm opening the lesson up. And if you have joined my lesson, which I'm hoping some of you will have done, you will appear as a student. So if not, please refresh your suite at your Hello Smart in your web browser. Or join me now if you choose to do so by going to hellosmart.com and put in my teacher code, which is 1932. And I'm hopefully going to get some students that will have joined my lesson right now. And you will notice that I've got two tabs here. One tab allows me to be the teacher, and everything that I show you on my lesson and resource is going to be pushed to your device. Or I can go into student mode, where the students can work through that smart notebook independently at their own speed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just hoping that my internet is going to go a little bit faster than it is right now, but hopefully you will have joined my lesson. And once you've joined my lesson, you will then be able to see this particular activity on your devices. So let's give it a little bit of time. And once it's on your devices, you will be able to participate in the activities independently as the students did with their own devices. So I'm just going to refresh 1 second, just give it one more time to think about my Smart Learning Suite Online, and hopefully we can get that happening pretty soon. The joys of internet services. Hopefully they're all working very well. So I can see I've got 3 people joining now, which is awesome. I've got Rebecca, I've got Jane, and I've got Beck, and hopefully you're going to see some of these slides as soon as my page refreshes here. So once we get it, the teacher is able to determine what the students see. So I can choose which page I want to be on, and I can push it to your devices. Hopefully you're seeing it on your screens right now. So you might see the home page, or you might see a few other pages. Now, because I've clicked student pace, you will be able to progress your way through that notebook at your own speed by using, sorry, did I click on teacher? So I'm going to let you go at student. So you can go to any page in that lesson. So all the people who have joined, we should be able to progress through that session, those sessions, okay? So as I progress through, why not make your way to the home page and try, which is page 6, so find your way towards page 6 and try and follow the activities as the students would have on their devices. So you can click start for any of the games and you should see them appearing on your device, and you will be able to play those games on your devices. So hopefully we've got a few people logged in here and you're progressing through these lessons and giving them a go at your own speed. And the students can decide which page they want to be on. So one student might be on Safe Not Safe, and another student might be on Bart and role play. So it doesn't matter which page I'm on as the teacher, because I've given the students permission to progress at their own speed on their devices using this smart notebook activity, so that they can actually have a look through and choose which activities they want to do in that self-differentiating mode. Hopefully, I can see there's only 4 of you there, but those of you who have experienced that can see how this sort of structure of a lesson would work. So everybody can progress on at their own speed. They can choose which activities they want to do. They can participate in those activities, and they can get feedback on those activities on exactly what they want to do. And I can stop this, or I can turn into teacher mode, and everybody's pages are going to refer exactly back to my screen and show what I'm showing on my screen. So Smart Learning Suite Online really allows you to be able to really differentiate and really make sure that students' needs are catered for by giving them the opportunity to do anything that they want online. So now we're just coming towards the end of the session. But what I would like to do, if possible, is I'd like you to progress down to the last page in the notebook, which is a session that I'm going to start as a workspace. And I'd like you to give us some feedback on how that webinar went. So if there's anything that you want added or anything you'd like reviewed again, I'm going to put everybody in one team. I'd like you to write into that space. So you've got some icons there. You can write any feedback that you want to give. Anything that was useful for you, you can write now into that digital space. So if you have chance, please do that. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time today. And I'm sure that we'll make sure that you can all have access to these activities, and great to see some really lovely feedback live on the screen at the same time, which is pretty awesome. So thanks everybody for joining today, and good luck. And if you need to contact myself or Beck or any of the Smart team in ANZ at any time soon, please feel free to connect to us using these QR codes. So just open your camera right now and hold your camera up to these QR codes, and you will be able to connect to us on LinkedIn, Twitter, our webinars, and any other places that are available for you to connect to us right now. So please feel free to do that. Thank you very much for joining today. Just checking there's no questions. People didn't have any visual. Hopefully you've all got that now, and see you next time. Thanks. Bye.